again. It's a rich thing.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, finally the Chicago Bulls against the Cleveland Cavaliers once again walked away with a very strong victory. Defense comes to mind when you speak of this game, and we're going to be talking about the positives and the negatives of this game and just how important it is towards our season. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who was your player of the game and your overall thoughts and opinions on how well the Bulls played. We won this game 98-94, a relatively low scoring game. I believe this is not the first time we've had a really slow, grinded out game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but this is definitely a game that the Chicago Bulls will take in the victory column, and it's very important towards our season. Some of the things that we did well, obviously the Bulls became nearly the biggest choke artist in NBA history based on this game. We allowed them to come back to the point where it was like a two-possession game or whatever it was. And the Chicago Bulls definitely have a lot to consider in that third or fourth quarter of the game. But the first half was a really, really important watch for the Chicago Bulls because we saw, I guess, how important it is to play defense in this team. And again, you saw in the second half when they started to get a rhythm, they came back and they came back very well in the game. And to be honest, they had an above and away, a much better second half than us. But our first half, our defense was truly sensational. I believe we gave up 35 points in the first half. We usually give 40 points in a quarter at times for the Chicago Bulls in recent stretches. So having 35 points in a half of basketball is fantastic to see. But again, we're not playing 4 quarters of basketball. We saw a bunch of defensive mishaps, getting to the foul line for Cleveland, not passing the ball enough in the second half as well. Something else that I should mention in this game, we had, I believe, 16 assists in the first half, and I don't know what we ended up finishing off with, but when I checked within the third and fourth quarters of that game, I believe we had 21. So the ball was not moved anywhere near as much compared to the first half to the second half. So we saw the two halves of basketball of the Chicago Bulls. We saw two Chicago Bulls teams that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing in the first half, again, great defense, passing the ball, easy buckets, everybody involved. Kind of like the first half of the season for the Chicago Bulls. In the second half of this game, we saw little to no ball movement. We saw the ball staying stagnant. We saw players not moving around. We saw basically one pick and roll for the majority of the half. And it's just bad shot selection. No one's involved. Everybody's a bit rusty. And then the defensive end, we just slowed down a little bit. The second half of the Chicago Bulls season, mainly in March. So these are the things that we're seeing for the Chicago Bulls, and it's clearly and obviously shown in this game as well. But the most important thing to take away is the win. How badly we played, how greatly we played, that's all could be a conversation for another time, because the point of this game is to win it. The Cleveland Cavaliers was a game behind us in this game. If they had won this game, then we tied up our season series, which means I don't think we have a tiebreaker against the Cleveland Cavaliers if we lost this game. But thankfully, we don't need to worry about that. We win this game, which means we secure our seed in the 5th, at least at this point in time, with the Raptors a game behind us, and now Cleveland 2 games behind us, and we don't have many games to go. So those 2 games are vital for the Chicago Bulls if we want to try and avoid the play-in tournament. That 2-game gap against Cleveland, if we fall to 6th, at least we have that game in hand on Cleveland at the moment, and we have the tiebreaker now on both the Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's still a wasted opportunity between the Pelicans. I think that game was a very crucial game to have, but obviously for the Chicago Bulls, we wasted that opportunity, and maybe this could have been a much easier conversation to have, but at least this game is the game that we took out. We had to win this game, in my opinion, and thankfully we did. Let's look at those individual performances today. We're going to start off with Zach LaVine, that 25 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists in this game with a steal alongside of it. 8 from 17 from the field, 2 from 7 from the 3-point line. A very, very good game from Zach LaVine in his entirety. Again, got to the foul line 8 times, made 7 of them. He did very well attacking the paint. And it's good to have Zach LaVine and DeMar play together again. Obviously, DeMar is still struggling. That's something that we hopefully need to see him build himself out of. One game every couple where he's getting those 30 points is not going to be good enough. 20 points for DeMar, in my opinion, needs a lot of work in that area for him. But Zach LaVine, obviously, having two guys that can score 20 points, and then you got Vucevic alongside of them that also had a relatively okay game. Not too bad for Zach LaVine, in my opinion. Alex Caruso with 10 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in today's game. Alex Caruso is the leader of today's Chicago Bulls team. He walked into the starting lineup guarding some of the better players, Karis LeVert and Darius Garland, and he made a name for himself on the defensive end. That's his reputation, and he showed his reputation 10 times over in today's game. It's a very easy and simple thing to understand when it comes to the defensive end. When you give your all defensively, you're going to get the results. It's about commitment. It's about putting your body on the line. It's about showing that you care for every single possession. You don't want to let a possession get away from your grasp because, of course, if that does happen, you get games where you get scored 136 on or 130 or 126, whatever it was. Alex Caruso, in my opinion, was the leader. I thought he stepped up in ways that other players didn't step up in. But you also saw a couple of other guys that followed the lead of Alex Caruso today. We saw DeMar DeRozan take a charge in this game. Granted, it was a blocking foul, but you don't see many of those guys taking charges as a team. And we're seeing DeMar DeRozan take the lead of Alex Caruso and put his body on the line for a defensive stop. Granted, it's not going to work every single time, but the intent was there. So I'm very, very happy with the leadership he's bringing defensively, and we need to continue to see this. The commitment, the team chemistry on the defensive end, we have to see it. And most importantly, we have to see it for all 4 quarters, not just the half. It's a good progression that we saw it in the half, but we need to see it in all 4 quarters. Vucevic with a 16 point, 9 rebound, 4 assist performance, 1 steal and a block as well. The most of his damage came in the first half. I don't really remember or recall anything he did of significance in the second half. He got a couple of free throws, I believe. He had 3 from the foul line. He got an and 1 in today's game as well in the first half. And he was very, very dominant in the first half. But again, his shooting percentages are still relatively low. 1 from 4 from the 3-point line. I usually don't like seeing 4 to 6 threes for Vucevic. He did make 1 of them. And again, 6 from 14 from the field in total, which is not the worst, but it's definitely far from his best. And for a center that's mainly going to be a paint-dominating center, we can see that increase. But when he's taking 4 threes and he's not making them, that percentage will begin to die down a little bit. He did what he was supposed to do in the paint. That's all I'm really going to say. I thought defensively he was very engaged as well. But, of course, when you extend to the 3-point line and you don't make those shots, then everything will go down in terms of his statistics. His percentages will begin to go down, his field goal percentage again, and potentially his confidence. So let's just hope when Vucevic does go out to the 3-point line in the next game, he makes them. But I'd like to see a little bit less of them taken. DeMar DeRozan had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists in today's game. Again, this is a very, very struggling, I guess, a struggle game for DeMar DeRozan. I think he struggled very much in this game. Most of his points came in the 4th quarter. So, again, he has that ability to kind of forget the game that he's having and really turn it up in the 4th quarter. And he showed that again in today's game. That's a good quality and trait to have because most playoff battles are going to be close and competitive. Doesn't matter if you're the 1st seed or the 8th seed, you're often going to be in a very close game in the NBA playoffs. So having a guy that can just switch on in the 4th quarter, no matter if he's having a 50-point performance or a 10-point performance, if he comes into that 4th quarter, you know he's going to be on his game, at least for the most part. And I thought he had a great 4th quarter performance, but the entire game was a struggle for DeMar. He wasn't really involved. He got into foul trouble very early, and everything just didn't seem to go his way. It's been like that all of March, to be honest. So let's just hope for a better game from DeMar DeRozan in the future. Again, we got some winnable games, but in order for us to actually be competitive and win all of these games, you're going to need DeMar DeRozan to step up offensively. Ayo Dosunmu had 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists in this game. He's one of those guys that I think are taking leadership off of Alex Caruso. He's following Alex Caruso's leadership per se. He went back to his aggressive nature, 5 from 6 from the field, 0 from 1. He only missed 1 3-pointer and he only took 1. So Ayo, in my opinion, played great defense as well. These two were kind of the leaders on the defensive end for the Chicago Bulls, and I really enjoyed what they brought to the table defensively. And I feel like without those two, we don't win this game. Darius Garland is a fantastic player. Caris LeVert is a fantastic player. Both of these guys have potential to form a great partnership alongside of each other. And those are two of the danger guys to look out for, because Mobley is a great center, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to beat you on his own. I think Garland can do that. I also think that Caris LeVert, we've seen, can drop 50 points on the Chicago Bulls with the Indiana Pacers. He could definitely be a guy that could beat you by himself as well. So having those two types of guys being slowed down by Alex Caruso and Ayo Dosunmu, in my opinion, is the key reason to why we win this game. Those two slowed down those all-stars, slowed down those really great players, and we kind of left it to guys like Larry Marketing, to guys like Mobley to try and beat us, and unfortunately they just didn't have enough. Larry Marketing struggled in the game. Mobley was good. He's always been good. He's a rookie at the end of the day, so he's going to have those inconsistent nights. Every single rookie does. So it was a good game from the Chicago Bulls. We're going to move off into the bench now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start off with Kobe White. He had 0 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist in 19 minutes of game. To be honest, I thought Kobe White was missing in this game. That's how I truly felt. And I would think that's going to reflect in my must-improve performance. But yeah, I couldn't really recall anything Kobe White did in the game. And for 19 minutes of game, I think you have to do more than this, especially when you are a go-to scorer coming off of the bench. 3 shots is not good for Kobe White either. I think the Bulls have to do a better job in finding that guy that's a prolific scorer on this team. You have to find him more than what we're doing. But for Kobe White, you need to make an impact in the game if you're not scoring. It goes both ways. You need to find ways to impact the game. If you're not impacting the game offensively in scoring, maybe try to get a couple of assists, try to find more individuals open. 1 steal and 2 rebounds is not good enough for 19 minutes for a talented player like Kobe White in my eyes. He has to do better. Javonte Green at 7 points and 2 rebounds, 2 from 5 from the field. Javonte's going to be the same guy when he's coming off of the bench or he's starting. He's the energy guy. He's going to cut to the basket. He's going to try and shoot some threes. He didn't make any of them today. And he's going to be a nuisance in the paint. He's going to make sure that you feel his presence, and he's going to keep on annoying other players. Moving on to Patrick Williams, he had a 4.4 rebound performance with 1 assist. He had a really nice pump fake into a mid-range shot, which was very, very beautiful to see. And Patrick Williams, again, I'd like to see him be more aggressive. He's coming off of the bench. I feel like a lot of these bench guys, I think the biggest weakness for them is that they're not aggressive enough in terms of their own shots. And I know most of the shots go to DeRozan, goes to Levine, goes to Vucevic. But for Patrick Williams, a guy that's coming into this team, a guy that we know has the ability to score, to take those good shots, I feel like, again, it's all about the aggression with Patrick Williams. I don't think 4 shots is bad for 14 minutes. I just think that for a guy that supposedly is going to be the guy that's going to take the reins for the Chicago Bulls in the future, I think that's what most people are hoping will happen if he could develop his offensive and defensive game. He needs to be able to take some of those shots within the flow of the offense, and I don't feel like those shots are really being given to him as much as they should. But we'll wait and see what will happen in the future. Again, he's slowly coming back. Just because he has a couple of bad games, a couple of games where he's not really aggressive offensively, doesn't necessarily mean that he's having a terrible time. I think defensively he's doing great. It's just about the offensive end, and we'll just wait and see if he could develop into that aggressive guy that we all want him to be. Maybe this season won't be that season for him, but I'd love to see him just continue to be aggressive. That's probably the next step for him. That's probably what we always wanted to see last season as well. Last but not least, Tristan Thompson, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Again, Tristan Thompson was just doing his normal thing. He was being aggressive in terms of just attacking the basket, getting his rebounds, playing physical, things like that. That's what Tristan Thompson is known for. He had 50% from the field. It is what it is with Tristan Thompson. He is going to bring that very similar performance every single night for you. The must improve for me is Kobe White. I said what I said before, and it's the exact same reasons as to why he's my must improve. For 19 minutes, close to 20 minutes of NBA basketball, to have 0 points, only 3 shots taken, 2 rebounds and a steal. That's a guy again, I've said passengers on this team. Kobe White was a passenger in today's game. I don't recall many things he did well in this game. I don't really recall his presence on the court very much. I could obviously see him there, but he just wasn't doing enough. And for a guy that's supposed to be our bench scorer, a guy that is supposed to be one of our better players, he has to deliver more than what we're seeing out of him in this game specifically. What a great game he had against the Pelicans when he was starting, and then 0 games like this. This is the inconsistency with Kobe White that we just really do not want to see. There are less minutes there for Kobe White off of the bench. We all know that. But with those less minutes, he still has to try and produce as much as he can. He's not going to get those 25-point nights when he's off of the bench. Not likely, unless he's having a really hot night. But you have to produce more. You have to try and score. You have to try and make yourself known on this team. Maybe get some fouls because he's a very good free throw shooter. Get to the foul line. Or just try and go into that mid-range game. He took 2 threes out of 3 shots. It's just, in my opinion, there needs to be more done with Kobe White. My player of the game, look, I know DeMar had a 20-point night. I know Zach LaVine had like a 25-point night. My player of the game is Alex Caruso. I think the defensive end for the Chicago Bulls set the tone for this game. And in my opinion, this is the scrappy type of game where defense will be more valuable to you than your offense. So the Zach LaVine 25 points, that was obviously amazing for the Chicago Bulls and it's very much well needed. Every point in this game was very much needed. But every point stopped was also needed for the Chicago Bulls. And that's where Ayo Dosunmu and Alex Caruso both had great games. Alex Caruso nearly got to a triple-double in today's game. Really, really strong stuff from him. And in a game like this, defense will be the game winner for the Chicago Bulls. And that's where I give my hat to Alex Caruso. Fair play to him. He had a great game and he showed it in today's game with Cleveland. And let's hope that defensive energy that he brought and other players followed suit with can be a main source of our defense in the next game. That's what the Chicago Bulls need to keep on doing. We saw what defense could do for us, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to hold my breath. And the reason why is I've seen this before. I've seen the Chicago Bulls hold teams to under 100 and above 90. I've seen the Chicago Bulls keep Cleveland to 91 points, and then the next game we go up and give 126 points to a certain team. That was the Milwaukee Bucks at this time. So Our record is 43-31. We sit 5th in the Eastern Conference. We all really know this much at this point. We know what it's going to take for us to fall into the play-in if we keep on losing these winnable games. And we know what's going to keep us where we are, where we win these winnable games. And this next game against the New York Knicks is a winnable game for the Chicago Bulls. Now, New York usually bring a very good style of defense against the Chicago Bulls. They're going to play physical. They're going to play with a sense of urgency as well. I know they've not had the best of seasons. It's pretty outstanding, to be honest, how they went from, I guess, one of the best teams in the East last season to a really good start to this season, and they've kind of shied away. And I think D Rose obviously is a big reason for that. They don't really have a closer out there to put games to bed for them. But at the end of the day, they're still going to bring the same sort of energy that they always bring against the Chicago Bulls. This is the team that Patrick Williams got hurt with at the end of the day. So I'm saying there's an element of wanting to get that payback, especially for a guy like Patrick Williams who will be playing in this game. But also, this is just important towards our season. Wins are all that matter now. You can put the rivalries to bed. You could put all of these things in the rearview mirror, because all I want is the win. If we lose to New York, it's frustrating. They can have their big victory against a rival, but at the end of the day, that's going to kill the Chicago Bulls if we lose to teams like the Knicks and teams like the Wizards, games that we see as winnable. So we have to bring everything we have into this game. It's not for the rivalry. It's not for, oh, Patrick Williams got hurt, let's show them what we can do. It's all about our win. Our season means more to me than any rivalry out there. So if we're going to treat this like a rivalry game, that's fine. You can do whatever you like. All I want is the win. If we're going to come in and not show New York respect, or we're going to come in and we're going to allow them to drop 126 points on us and we lose the game, then that's when I'll get frustrated. Rivalry or not rivalry, this is a must-win game. We need to go out and win for our season, for our seeds, for our Eastern Conference. Make sure we don't fall in that play-in tournament. That's all I really want. And we'll wait and see the outcome at the end of the season. But Tuesday for me, Monday for you guys, a must-win game against the Knicks. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.